All right, what's up? We are back here again for another week of Pete's Power Rankings. Yes, I watch 99% of all of these NFL games each and every weekend. I go through, rank every squad, 32 through number 1. It's been a topsy-turvy start to the NFL season. Just when you think a team is good, they're awful the next week. And when you've given up on a squad after week 1, they bounce back in week 2. There's been a lot of movement. These are not the standings. These are power rankings. I know I'm going to hear it from some of y'all in the comments, but let's go ahead and get things started with our bottom of the barrel teams 32 through 23. These are some bad football teams. I don't care what some of their records say. They are just not good whatsoever. Okay, I have the Chicago Bears now as the worst team in football. This offense is abysmal. The defense, not much better. Shellacked at home by Green Bay week 1 and dominated physically up and down the field by a Tampa Bay Buccaneers team who's kind of surprising some people. But man, Justin Fields cannot throw the football. I know all the simps out there wanted to say Justin Fields was going to be that guy. He ain't that guy. He's an awful passer of the football. Take away his running game, and this is just an anemic offense. They can't do anything right. The defense is abysmal. They can't cover anybody. They're bad. Panthers, I saw a little bit better from the Panthers against New Orleans, but still not good football teams. Arizona, awful choke. They're trying to lose. They tried to lose. The Texans, bad again, dominated at home by the Colts. Denver with one of the worst losses of the weekend. This is just not a good football team. It wasn't as bad as it would look. Washington probably should have won this game by 2 or 3 touchdowns, honestly, watching back the film from them. Again, Vegas blown out the Colts. Nice win, but I'm not really going to move the Colts. Vegas bad. Tennessee, you beat the Chargers, but it's the Chargers, man. Something's going on with them. I don't know. And then Pittsburgh to round this thing out. Yeah, they won at home. The offense is atrocious. It's not good. They really need to step things up. They beat a chubless Deshaun Watson-led Cleveland Browns team, who I don't think is any good. Deshaun Watson is bad, ladies and gentlemen. But let's go on through to our middle tier teams, 22 through 16. These teams, a couple of 0-2 teams here that I think can make the jump, and some 2-0 teams that I think aren't very good, but have potential to possibly jump up in the rankings. Okay, both New York teams at the bottom here. Jets are just awful with Zach Wilson. I wanted to believe in them. They played a great Cowboys team, but still just bad. The Giants, congratulations. You got outscored 60-0 to start the season. You rallied back and beat a team who's trying to lose games. You lose Saquon Barkley for a few weeks. Nobody really fears this team. The Saints 2-0, but beat 2 bad teams, and they barely beat both of them. Not convincing whatsoever. Good defense. I'm really high on this defense. Where's this prolific offense, I was told? They're awful. Derek Carr, not lighting it up like he's supposed to. The Commanders 2-0, beat a shitty Cardinals team at home, and they barely beat that team. Nice win against a bad Denver team on the road. They rallied back. This is an interesting team. They don't have any good wins, but there's no reason not to think they could be okay. Patriots, another good loss, but both losses at home. Same with the Vikings. -3 turnovers again this week at the Eagles, though, and you lose that game by just a score. I mean, if you don't implode, you beat the Eagles. You outplayed the Eagles for most of that game. Jefferson, the worst rule in football, reared its ugly head. Same thing with the Bengals. It's so hard to figure out what's wrong with Cincinnati. Their defense couldn't get any rush on Lamar, and the offense is bad. Burrow can't push the ball downfield. Teams are daring them to, and that's all they call. I don't like Zach Taylor at all. His play calling has been abysmal. They're not committing to the run game, and they're making life very difficult on a mediocre offensive line and a quarterback who was banged up all of camp and is still banged up. It just hasn't good. They killed it hitting T. Higgins for 7 and 8 yards, and they just really didn't do it enough. And the defense is not helping out anything. But let's get to what everyone came here for. Your top 15 teams for week 3, heading into week 3 in the NFL. Kind of a surpriser. This team took a big jump, but they got a big boy win on the road. Okay, we got the Seahawks jumping up 7 spots. Yes, it's been a wild ride this season with the rankings moving up and down so far. I love what they did. They went into Detroit. They didn't play a great first half. They really turned it on in the second half. They tried to blow this game. They let Detroit tie it in the waning moments, send it to overtime, but Geno didn't write back in overtime. Get the ball, get 6 to lock it. Lions never see the ball in overtime, and the Seahawks bounce back with a huge road win. This offense did the exact opposite of last week, was kind of meh in the first half and really turned it on against a solid Detroit defense. They really found their rhythm. They were running the ball effectively. Geno was comfortable in the pocket. He found his guys. I want to see more of Lockett. Lockett is the engine of this team. I know he's your number 2, possibly number 3 receiver now, but he makes plays. He gets the chains moved, and he keeps this offense humming. I think this is a Seahawks team that maybe got punched in the mouth by a pretty decent Rams team. I think that Rams are a lot better than we all expected, and they just had to recover. And the Lions sniffing their own farts. They beat the Chiefs on the road week 1. You had 10 days off, and then you lose at home. Typical Lions fashion here. Now, the Seahawks aren't a bad team, I don't think. This was a huge win for them. Let's see if they can sustain some momentum into next week. You want to keep feeding Kenneth Walker. You want to keep feeding your wideouts. And honestly, defense, better job in the second half. Still some things I just wish Seattle would do a better job defensively. They have all those good draft picks from last year, and they just kind of leave me wanting more. But for now, I got the Seahawks here at 15. Hopefully they don't let me down. Okay, maybe the surprise of the season so far, I got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers up 4 spots, put them at number 14. I was actually impressed with what I saw from Tampa this weekend. Chicago's a bad team, and that score was kind of close, but they really separated themselves in the second half. Baker Mayfield has his moments of awesome, has his moments of awful. They ran the ball much more effectively this weekend against Chicago than they did against Minnesota. Now, we could talk about how it was a lucky win against Minnesota, -3 on the road in turnover battle, and you only won by 3. No problems this weekend. They took care of the Bears. Mike Evans playing out of his mind again. Does he like playing for a crazy man like Baker, kind of like Johnny Manziel, or is Mike Evans just trying to pump his value up where he could possibly be dealt at the trade deadline? Buccaneers, a surprisingly good team. That defense, we were questioning the defense. They were kind of good in moments last year, kind of bad in moments last year. But they've really adjusted. This defense is no nonsense defense. They shut things down. They don't let you run the football. They're aggressive in their pass rush. They blitz a lot. They force teams to try and dump short, and they make mistakes. They cover short. This is a really surprising football team so far. They have a super real test. They're playing the Eagles at home on Monday night, week 3. It's a big one. In the early window, there's 2 Monday night games. The Eagles not playing the best ball right now. They'll have 11 days off. If you can give me a competitive game against the Eagles, keep it within 3 points most of the night, I'll really start buying some Buccaneers stock. But for now, they're playing good ball, beating teams, beat a team they shouldn't have beat, and beat a team they should beat, and they find themselves at 2-0. Okay, at number 13, I have the Packers. Got them dropping 3 spots here. Green Bay, Jordan Love, we're the mess. We kicked the shit out of Chicago. The Bears are terrible. We own the Bears. We're back, another Hall of Fame QB. And then you go to Atlanta. You play okay. You win most of the game. You're controlling the game. But then you get super conservative Matt LaFleur and you sit on the lead. And guess what? You get bit in the face by this Atlanta Falcons attack. They didn't run the ball as much this week. They opened it up. They threw on this Green Bay Packers defense. They were not afraid of that secondary. Then when they needed to, they switched it up, lean on Bijan Robinson. He carves you up, grinds this game down to dust. They score, dominate, absolutely dominate the fourth quarter to steal this one away from the Packers. And this is the shit that I'm talking about with Matt LaFleur. He's so conservative. He's so hoity-toity about his team, my defense, my run game, and he sits on leads. He gets way too conservative. And look, you got bit in the face by a power-hungry team that is trying to win football games. Arthur Smith, I cannot sing enough praises about, but we'll get to him later. This is a Packers team that really should have won this game. They didn't. Now they're tied for first in the NFC North now, but you got teams with Detroit tied 1-1 and Minnesota sitting at 0-2. You lose again this week and Minnesota's right back in it. That's a team you want to keep the distance from because of that offensive attack. I want to see more out of the Packers. Matt LaFleur really frustrates me as a head coach. I think the Packers should have won this game comfortably going away, and he just coaches not to lose. And what ends up happening? You end up losing. So the Packers here are 13. Maybe they'll make some adjustments and get back into the good graces of me. But for now, 13 for the Packers. Okay, I got the Browns here at number 12, dropping them 4 spots. And I wanted to drop the Browns more, but I'm going to give them one more week to see how they can make some adjustments. They lose Nick Chubb early in the game in Pittsburgh, a game that they were kind of all over the place. It was up, it was down, it was high, it was low. The Browns defense is as real as it gets, but their offense, Deshaun Watson is bad. I got so much shit from Browns fans saying Watson was not going to be that guy this year, and he's been worse than expected. They swore on their lives he would be a top 5 quarterback again, and he's just been abysmal. Now, I liked what I saw from backup running back. We got Ford in the backfield. He was solid, but there was a lot of no gains and then big gains. You got to be more consistent. You got to be Chubb. They were gashing a bad Pittsburgh team with a bad offense. Now, Cleveland, I'm going to give you a week. Maybe they totally change the offense. We go to 5 wide. We start spreading it out. No more power run game whatsoever. And Deshaun is more comfortable in that offense that he more ran in Houston than what he's been running in Cleveland. But he just misses open throws. Their receivers are good enough. They get open, but they're lazy. They're not detail-oriented. They turn the ball over way too much. But Cleveland, if you bounce back and start showing me some life, I'm willing to move them back up, but I just don't fear a Browns team that doesn't have Nick Chubb running the football. It's like, okay, Deshaun Watson's going to beat us. I don't think so, and I don't really fear this run game anymore without Nick Chubb. Now, the defense is as good as it gets, so they're going to win some football games because of this defense. But for now, I got the Browns at 12, but I'm teetering on the precipice of either throwing them back up or throwing them way down this ladder. Okay, number 11, I'm going to knock the Lions down 2 spots here. This was a wild week. Teams 8 through 15 all lost from the power rankings last week. So I had to slide some people in there, move some teams up. I got the Lions here at 11. It's just a really poor performance from the Lions once again. I know the game went to overtime, but they were winning in the first half. They turned the ball over to start the second half. They let the Seahawks get right back in the game. They do a good job getting this thing to overtime. Defense can't make a stop. They lose. You had 10 days off to prepare for this game. The Seahawks got punched in the mouth by a Rams team that maybe we undersold, but they gave you the game plan on how to dominate the Seahawks team. They were beat up, and you just laid an egg at home. It was typical Lions fashion that they lose this game. They were talking a whole lot of mess after beating Kansas City, and this team, they just don't feel ready, right? After a loss like this, it's like, man, is it the same kind of Lions bullshit? Are they going to knock around, just be like, okay, we win 9 games. Maybe we'll get in the playoffs finally. Maybe we won't. But the division isn't great right now. They're still in first place, so they can deal with that as it comes. But, man, Detroit, just focus up. You guys have not won a division title in 30 years. Play like you haven't won a division title in 30 years. Don't act like you've already been anointed, because you haven't. You got to win games on the football field. So, maybe the Lions bounce back this week. I was disappointed in their performance from them. They needed to win that game to establish that they are for real. But guess what? Here at 11, now let's get into the top 10 teams right now. And this team, a lot of movement, a lot of teams have sleeping on them, but I've been a big, big fan of them. Okay, up 9 spots at number 10. I got the Dirty Birds, the Atlanta Falcons. I was all over this team last year. I was on them again this year to win the division. But man, what a great performance again. They were dominated most of this game. I don't know what Arthur Smith was doing. We threw the ball 8 times week 1. We're going to throw the ball 30 times in week 2. Just sling the rock, try and fool Green Bay. But they went back to their bread and butter. The defense stiffened up against the Packers offense that really thought that they were okay sitting on this lead. And Desmond Ridder, he was really awful in week 1. Not terrible in week 2, I must say. He made plays to win this football game. And oh boy, Bijan Robinson is as advertised. He is an elite playmaker. You can get him on the edge. You can pass him the ball. Great hands, make guys miss. and he picks up the hard, ugly yards. Lots of conversions of him to keep the ball in Atlanta's hands, to melt this clock, to get this W in Atlanta. I'm big on the Falcons now. They're my favorite to win the NFC South. I don't think any of these other teams can really just play good football down the stretch like Atlanta does. Atlanta was so bad down the stretch last year with Marcus Mariota at quarterback in the end of games. And I don't think Desmond Ridder is going to lose these games that they lost last year. They're going to go and get wins. They're going to give the ball to Bijan. They're going to give it to Tyler Algier. If they have to make a play with Ridder, he's going to make that play. I loved what I saw from them. This is a huge start for the Falcons, 2-0. And Arthur Smith, my man's an offensive genius. You may think you know what he's going to do. He's going to pound the rock. He has a great eye for talent. He's built an awesome football team there. I wish the quarterback was just a little bit better. If the Falcons had like a Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback, I think this team would be really set on winning this division and possibly competing for a top NFC seed. But for right now, we're going to leave them at 10, but I'm really, really high on the Falcons. Okay, bounce back game for your Buffalo Bills. I got them up 4 spots here at number 9. In a week where a lot of teams lost in the top rankings, this team took care of business. They blew out Vegas at home. Josh Allen really got back to his winning ways. Still, I don't know how good this Bills defense is. They got beat up by the Jets, a game that was so full of emotion. The Jets almost had to win at this point. Josh Allen, you got to stop turning the ball over. He was very good this week. That's my biggest concern with this team. Is Josh Allen going to just shoot this team in the foot until they lose themselves all these football games? The problem is the division is got a better team in it. It's got a better team in it. Now, the other 2 teams in the division are both kind of just in flux. The Jets, who you lost to, are clearly the worst team in the division, again, without Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. New England's 0-2, but that's a team that can beat you. They play good defense. They play really good defense. And it can frustrate this offense. They turn the ball over in a Bills defense that I feel is slightly overrated, but they're back on their winning ways. We're going to keep them here at 9 for now. I just think they've fallen into that second tier of good teams in the NFL. Okay, call me crazy, but I got the LA Rams up 6 spots here at number 8, even though they lost to the 49ers at home. Listen, San Francisco's the best team in the league right now. This was a very competitive game. We were tied at halftime at 17. And honestly, the Rams offense is a well-needed burst of energy, life, whatever you have it. Sean McVay showed he ain't washed yet. He is a degenerate scumbag for kicking that field goal at the end of the game to cover the spread. It was completely meaningless. Look into him. He may be getting suspended or fined for that nonsense, but Matthew Stafford looking good. He's hitting his receivers. He's got well-timed pocket presence. He knows when to get out of there, when to get rid of the football. He's looking much better than he did with last year. Had a couple turnovers in the second half against this Niners defense, who I do think is a shoulder above this team. But honestly, I like what I saw out of the Rams. Puka Nacua is a better version of Cooper Kupp. He was actually drafted, in the 5th round. He's got the rookie record for most receptions through 2 games. First rookie ever to have 10-plus catches and 100-plus yards in his first 2 games. It's a really, really nice addition. Now, Cooper Kupp may show back up on this team in a few weeks. Who knows what the hamstrings do it. But Kyron Williams as a running back, really solid. Good pass catcher, really makes things difficult for teams if they want to run the ball or throw the ball. He's the right kind of back for this system. Cam Akers seems to be on his way out. Rams defense was good in the first half, but it's just like too many weapons. They couldn't deal with this 49ers team. They kind of melted down late. Not completely, but I'm on the Rams, man. I'm not going to sell my Rams stock here. I got them all the way up to 8. I think this is a really good team. I think this is a team much closer to that Super Bowl team than they were the team they were last year. So keep your eye on the Rams. They're at the Bengals on Monday night. That's a huge, huge game for both of these teams. Bengals must-win situation. Rams kind of need to win this game to keep that momentum going. I know it's an out-of-conference road game, but you don't want to lose that momentum that you had a good week 1 showing, a great week 1 showing, and then a good week 2 showing in a loss. You just don't want to compound that and get back-to-back losses. But Rams here at number 8 for now. Okay, down a spot here at number 7. I got the Jags only sliding one spot. Like I said, man, Jacksonville, this was a tough game. They really came out flat against the Kansas City Chiefs team who was reeling. Now, the Chiefs had 10 days off, yada, yada, yada. They were at home, but this is a team that kind of struggled for 3 quarters against Indianapolis offensively, and they struggled for 4 quarters again offensively against the Chiefs. Now, the Chiefs defense might be better than we thought it was going to be, but still, only 9 points at home in a Doug Peterson offense when you had everybody healthy. I just don't think this team is taking advantage of the weapons they have. Pass protection has been kind of mediocre. Trevor Lawrence has been under duress. We know that this is a problem for them. They didn't do a whole lot to address it. They should have done more clearly. Now, Lawrence still makes very good decisions most of the time. They still have explosive playmakers on the edge outside Calvin Ridley, Zay Flowers, Zay Jones, whatever, Zay Jones, and Christian Kirk. But they just don't do enough. I wish this team would stick to the run game a little bit more. I know Travis Etienne has kind of blossomed into more of a pass-catching running back. He still can do the damage on the ground. I just wish this team would run the football more, soften up the defense a little bit, and let Trevor go to work. Now, I'm not going to panic about it because the Jags defense did a really good job. Chiefs were kind of out of sorts, out of whack, but they still held the Chiefs for most of this game to keep them in this game. So I liked what I saw from the defense. I just need to see more from the offense. I'm not going to panic yet. They're 1-1, exactly where they should be. Maybe they should be 2-0. But the Chiefs lost to Detroit week 1, and nobody really had that except Detroit Lions fans. So I'm not going to panic on the Jags yet, but I think they're just maybe not quite there yet. Speaking of Zay Flowers, he actually plays for this team. I got the Baltimore Ravens up a spot. Now, Baltimore didn't look great or overpowering week 1, and they didn't look great or overpowering again in week 2, but they played the Bengals team on the road in the division, and they controlled this game. They didn't dominate it, but they controlled this game. The running game was solid. No J.K. Dobbins. Gus Edwards slides in there. He was solid out of the backfield, very productive for them. And boy, oh boy, I know this offense was supposed to be a prolific passing attack, but it's just not there. It's a lot of intermediate to slightly deeper crossers. Now, they're not really pushing the ball downfield like we were thinking the Kansas City Chiefs type offense, but Lamar's making good decisions. The offensive line's been awesome. They really stifled that Cincinnati Bengals pass rush. And when there was pressure, Lamar rolled out, made right plays, threw the ball downfield, or tucked it when he needed to. He's looking to throw the football. And when teams are going to start taking that away, Lamar's going to really, really hurt you on the ground with his feet. This is by far the best wide receiver core he's had ever in his time in Baltimore. Zay Flowers is that dude. He's been awesome through 2 games. I think he really, really takes this team over the top. Now, OBJ left with an injury. He should be okay, should be back soon, but teams are still paying attention to OBJ. He drew one of the most insane penalties I've ever seen. He drags the defender down, and he got the penalty called on the defender. So good move on OBJ. And this Ravens defense, I didn't really know what to think about this Ravens defense. Are they going to be elite? Are they going to be even good? It was just kind of weird, and they were solid, just solid as can be, back-to-back weeks. They take away stuff. They gave up the late score to make it kind of close. It was in doubt for a second there after that late touchdown, but the Ravens D, they do a good job. They tackle, they bring some pressures, they have good coverage on the back end, and they're missing a good amount of DBs. I was very happy with what I saw from a weak Ravens secondary from an injury standpoint. They played pretty good against what many believe is the best wide receiver core in the NFL. So good on the Ravens. I got them here at 6. They're going to need to show me more to get into this top 5 upper echelon of teams. But right now, Ravens doing exactly what they should. Okay, down one spot. I'm going to knock the Chiefs down a spot here. It's not so much what they did do, it's what they didn't do. They were very sloppy on offense. Travis Kelce might be more hurt than he let on, or he's lost a step, and he's just an old man now. He just didn't seem to have it. Sky Moore was much better for them, thank God. Kadarius Toney is still an absolute cancer on this team. Get rid of his ass. Jawan Taylor, the big tackle pickup that they had this offseason, not good either. Mahomes is still running for his life. Good amount of time there in this game. Now, they played a good Jags defense, but still, The real talking point on this team is their defense. Their defense has been awesome through 2 games. Two offenses that we thought would light the league on fire in Detroit and in Jacksonville, and they've shut both of them down. They have not let anything go against them. They're getting pressure on the quarterback. They're making life uncomfortable, and they're turning the ball over. I love to see a Chiefs defense that everyone, not necessarily a liability, but they weren't very good, and the offense would overcompensate. Maybe the offense has taken a step back now. They're getting older. They don't have the guys there anymore. And this defense can step up and actually win them some football games. I think they won the game against Jacksonville this weekend, so that's one for them right now. So I'm not really panicking about the Chiefs at all. They didn't look awesome, but the problem is there was a team behind them that I think has looked really, really good so far. But I'm not really worried about the Chiefs whatsoever. Okay, this was the hardest decision I had on this entire list right now. Were teams number 3 and number 4. I've got the Eagles here at number 4, dropping them down 2 spots. Listen, they dominated the line of scrimmage on offense, pounded the rock. I mean, 130 plus yards carrying for DeAndre Swift before contact. It was just an absolute clinic of running the football. They still run the most unstoppable play in football and it needs to go away. But man, +3 turnover margin and you win this game by a score that comes down to an onside kick. Now you can say the Eagles kind of backed off there down late, letting the Vikings move the ball, but they were about to go down 14-10 into that, or 14-10 into the half. And, the worst rule in football reared its ugly head. This is a team that did not play great. Kirk Cousins lit it up throwing the football, and they didn't get the pass rush. This is 2 weeks in a row. The pass rush has not been what it was last year. Now, they had some great moments. They made some plays, but it's a Vikings team that just couldn't hold on to the football. Not really much plays made by the Eagles, just guys dropping the ball. It's kind of insane how bad this Vikings team is. And the offense, the passing game, not there. A.J. Brown is a major, major concern right now. Now, Hurts hooked up with Devontae Smith a couple of times. Big score for them. But A.J. Brown is getting very, very frustrated. This is 2 weeks in a row where he has not done really anything offensively for them. And it's a guy I'm worried about. He is a locker room killer. He is a toxic kind of guy, it feels like. So I don't know how this is going to develop. But a new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator, and they're still working out the kinks. Now they got Tampa Bay, what we thought was going to be an easy game. They're going to have 11 days off to go to Tampa on Monday night. I really want to see a dominating performance from this Eagles team, or I could start getting concerned, like maybe they just don't have what they had last year. They had a lot of magic last year. Maybe it's just not there. Now, they could find themselves at 3-0, and I could still be wondering about them. This was a really hard decision to put them here at 4, but you know what? Team number 3, they sold me on their spot. Team number 3, I got the Miami Dolphins up 2 spots. Look at this Dolphins team. They couldn't stop anybody in week 1. They scored 1,000,000 points. Tyreek's going crazy against the Chargers. Bill Belichick says, I'm going to take that away. I'm going to force you to run the football. And they ran the football. Mostert looked awesome running the ball. They committed to the run game. They said, okay, this is what you're going to give us. This is what we're going to take. They make life so difficult with the motions, with the jet sweeps, moving people around, making it just impossible to cover these guys or to cover everybody. And this is a very good Patriots team. Now, they did struggle to really put this game away and dominate like I felt like they should have. The defense was much better this week. Now they were playing the Patriots offense, who isn't any sort of world burner over there. But they did a good job controlling this game, making life really difficult for Mac. I really wish they would have just put the oomph on this game and settled this much earlier than they needed to. They had to get the stop at the end of the game. Tua, the Belichick killer, 5-0 against Bill Belichick now. And guess what? The Dolphins are 2-0. They've won 2 road games against 2 AFC opponents. They have a much softer schedule at the end of the season at home, but it's still a pretty grueling and daunting schedule. So we're going to know for real how good the Dolphins are because they play everybody at the top of the NFL. And I mean everybody. So we'll wait and see. But for right now, I love this Dolphins team. Tua Tagovailoa could be one hit away from ending this team's season, but when he's in there, they win football games. When he's healthy, they really win football games. So I got the Dolphins here at number 3. okay, up one spot from last week. It's pretty clear that there are two top teams in the NFL right now. And I got the Dallas Cowboys here at number 2. Really good showing against the New York Jets. Now, it's the Zach Wilson-led Jets. This game was never in doubt, or it never should have been in doubt. Garrett Wilson scored on a big touchdown. That was it for the Jets. This defense is really just a whole lot of problem. Micah Parsons is a psychopath. That's why he fell in the draft, and that's why he's such a good pass rusher in the NFL. He just makes plays. He's got a screw loose, and I love every second of it. I was high on him in the draft, but man, he is just a game wrecker of game wreckers. You can line him up outside, you can line him up over centers, and he just makes plays for you. Now, the Cowboys' offense is a real concern. CeeDee Lamb had a very nice game, but they ran him away from Sauce Gardner. Sauce Gardner lined up against him. He had 2 catches for 16 yards and an INT, and then Sauce dropped a pick 6. So if they're going to move him around, I think CD is a good receiver. He's just not that one guy, man. He's just not a number 1. Brandon Cooks was out this week. Michael Gallup, we know, I wish this team had some better receivers because Dak's just not great at quarterback. He's okay. Just, man, he misses throws. He misses bad reads. And Mike McCarthy's play calling, this game should have been a lot more of a blowout than it was. His play calling really suspect, kind of walking the dog out there, just getting cute, not doing what you need to. Feed Tony Pollard, running behind Zach Martin, get 6 points. It's really that simple. Tony Pollard's an elite back, one of the top 3-5 backs in the NFL, but this defense is going to win you a lot of football games, and Dak hasn't turned the ball over yet, so he's not going to lose you any games so far. Interesting to see if the Cowboys can keep up this momentum. They're a number 2, but they're firmly a number 2 as of right now, because number 1, just, man, I don't know how anybody's going to beat this team. Okay, number 1, and clearly number 1, your San Francisco 49ers. This team is unreal, ladies and gentlemen. Like, good Lord. There's just so much on offense that you can't stop it. You got Christian McCaffrey gashing people. They can run block. You got Deebo Samuel. You got Brandon Ayuk. You got George Kittle. This team is great at running the football. This team is awesome at passing the football. Kyle Shanahan can draw it up with the best of the best to ever do it in this league. And Brock Purdy, he just wins football games. Finally didn't throw 2 touchdown passes. Of course he didn't. I bet on him too. But he had 2 touchdowns, had a rushing touchdown. But the game was tied at 17, and this defense was having no more of that. They tightened it down, absolutely shut down the Rams offense in the second half, made life super difficult for them. And this is just a dominating force. They play great defense. They make adjustments. They're super well coached. And the offense is just, there's so many weapons. You talk about Miami and motions and movement and weapons and not knowing what to do. You got no clue what to do against the 49ers. They'll run plays at you you've never seen before, and they'll throw the ball to guys that you don't even know are on the roster. This is just a complete football team right now. They're humming on all cylinders, and I think this is a team everybody else should be very concerned about. They haven't won their Super Bowl yet. They've been to 3 conference title games. They went to a Super Bowl under Shanahan. This could finally be the year for the Niners. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Who am I too high on? Who am I too low on? I want to hear it. I know you guys are going to argue and disagree with me, but it's been a lot of fun. We'll be back here again next Tuesday for week number 4 of the Power Rankings. We got new videos every single day on the channel, giving you the need to know in news and sport. Remember to drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. All right, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I want to hear from you all what your thoughts are on this. Like this video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already, share this video with your friends. It really helps the channel out a lot. If you want to support the channel more, click that join button or hit the link in the description and sign up for a channel membership. You get a lot of cool emojis and badges and stuff when you can use in our live streams during Monday Night Football games or any live streams. You get cool member shout outs, member only live streams. It helps support me, allowing me to make more of this great sports content for y'all. Again, like this video, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.